Hello there. I am back to read you a few more chapters of our new book, Stef Soto, Taco Queen. Now, I'm not sure about you, but so far I am loving this book. We've only read chapters 1 through 3, and so far we have been introduced to the main character, Stef, as well as her mammy and pappy, and her friend Arthur. And of course, I can't forget their family's taco truck, Tia, which they call Tia Perla. So let's continue. Chapter 4. Julia's house, behind a tall wrought iron gate, looks like it belongs on a different planet than mine, which is small and painted pink. But really, it's only a few blocks away. Our grandparents were friends back in Mexico, and it was Julia's dad who owned the construction company where Papi used to work. When we were little, before Tia Perla, Mommy used to drive Julia to school every morning and bring her back to our house every afternoon. Julia and I would haul Mommy's old purses and dress shoes onto the front porch and pretend we were actresses, or bankers, or spies. Julia always decided, but it was always pretty fun. Then, when we got to 7th grade, Julia decided she was too old for a babysitter and persuaded her parents to let her take the bus to school. Not the school bus, the real public bus. She's the only one in our class who does, and it's just about her favorite thing to talk about. She flutters into class seconds after the bell rings, blows her bangs off her forehead, and sighs, "Oh, Miss Barlow, I'm so sorry I didn't get here in time, but my bus was running late." Like it's her own personal bus. Or at lunchtime, when she stands at the end of the table, tapping her foot on the linoleum until we all take a break from our conversation and look up. "You'll never believe," she begins, after she's sure she has everyone's attention, "what happened on my bus." Like anyone is even interested. But the thing is, a lot of people are interested. Even me. It's like she's living the 7th grade version of the glamorous lives we used to act out on my front porch. On Tuesday afternoon, I see Julia in the hallway, yanking books from her locker and shoving them in her backpack. "I can't believe he kept us after class," she fumes to Maddie, who's leaning against the lockers and coiling glossy black hair around her finger. Maddie is new this year and glued herself to Julia on the very first day. Arthur knows her from Sunday school, but still, she pretty much left her old reputation behind when she came to St. Scholastica. Was she first pick or last when they chose teams in PE? Was she ever sent home with head lice? Did she always win the spelling bee? If she started wearing feathers in her hair, would everyone else start wearing feathers too? We don't know. Maddie has nothing to live down and nothing to live up to. I'm more than a little jealous. "Urgh," Julia grumbles when she can't get her backpack zipped. "I'm going to miss my bus." I consider pretending I didn't hear, but she seems really upset, so I stop next to her locker. "Julia, if you need a ride, my dad could take you home." Julia and Maddie lock eyes for a moment. "No thanks," Julia blinks. She slings her navy blue cardigan over her shoulder and goes back to wrestling with her backpack. I shrug and walk down the hall. I'm only a few steps away when I hear Maddie ask, "Why didn't you just go with her? Didn't you used to carpool or something?" Julia slams her locker shut. "Seriously? There's just no way. I mean, Stef and her truck smell like old tacos. What is she, the taco queen?" I don't turn around. I pretend not to hear, but my cheeks burn. Julia's always been bossy and kind of a show-off, but never straight up mean. I glance right and then left. No one's looking, so I pull my ponytail over my shoulder, bury my nose into it, and take a cautious sniff. Vanilla citrus blossom shampoo. Still there. But I have to admit, isn't there just the faintest whiff of burnt tortilla mixed in it? As soon as Pappy and I get home, a few hours later, I change out of my uniform and throw all of it, white blouse, plaid skirt, blue cardigan, into the dryer with 3 Lavender Breeze dryer sheets just to be safe. I try not to let Julia get to me, but after a week, I'm still not convinced I don't smell like Tia Perla. Before school starts, I wait outside our classroom with my sweater balled up under my arm. I stop Arthur and Amanda before they can step inside. Come over here, I demand, taking them by the wrists and dragging them around the corner. Now smell this. I shove the cardigan under their noses. They look at each other, then back at me. Go on, I say, shaking the sweater. Smell it. They both take a sniff. Okay. Amanda looks up. That was awesome, Stef, and totally not weird at all. Are we allowed to go to class now? But does it smell like tacos? I demand, shaking the sweater again. Am I the taco queen? Arthur had just taken a gulp of orange juice from a cardboard carton. It shoots out of his nose and across the tile floor as he bursts out laughing. Taco queen? He sputters, wiping his hand across his lips. Amanda considers it, then leans in for another smell. Not tacos, she confirms, but I like it. What detergent do your parents use? I roll my eyes. No help at all. As we're walking to Miss Barlow's room for language arts, I tell them what I overheard Julia say. Arthur can't stop laughing, but Amanda groans. Why would you even listen to her? You know she just likes being the center of attention. I nod. Yeah, I know, right? Still, Julia's words cling to me like a stale smell. Amanda has her soccer team, Arthur has his music, Julia has her independence, and it seems like all I have is Tia Perla. Somehow, I have to find a way to wipe off the stains she's leaving on my reputation. Chapter 5. Miss Barlow is finishing a bagel and sipping from a cup of coffee when we find our seats a few minutes before school starts. She wipes a splotch of cream cheese off of her lips as she smiles to greet us. We are going to start with a writing exercise, so go ahead and take out your journals while we wait for the bell to ring. I dig mine out of my desk and find a spot on the cover that I haven't already filled with doodles. It's almost always easier to draw my thoughts than to find words for them. The last time we wrote in our journals, I sketched a sailboat bobbing along atop curling blue waves. Now I add a sea monster surging from the sea to swallow it whole. Nice, Christopher drawls. Do my backpack next? I glance up and find 4 or 5 other kids looking over my shoulder. Yeah? I'm not sure Christopher is serious. I've been trying to spend more time working on my art. Sometimes I think I might even be getting better, but I'm not sure anyone else notices. Suddenly, Julia's squeal from the back of the room yanks everyone's eyes off my drawing and reels them back to her. No way! She shakes her head at her cell phone's glowing screen. She's the only 7th grader who's allowed to take it out of her backpack in the classroom. Her parents had insisted. They gave her the phone for safety reasons, like if she runs into trouble on the bus. She's supposed to text them when she gets to school and again when she gets home so they know she's all right. Now that she's told us all about it, not that she's told us all about it a million times or anything. What? Christopher asks. Julia doesn't answer. No way, she screeches again. No way, no way, no way. She screams and hugs her cell phone over her heart. Even Amanda is curious now. Seriously, what is it? This is going to be so amazing, she sighs, sinking breathlessly into her chair, but still not giving any hints about what she's talking about. I roll my eyes. If Julia doesn't want to say what's so amazing, fine, I'm not going to beg. But that doesn't stop anyone else. Come on, Maddie pleads. Tell us, what's going on? Oh, no big deal, Julia finally teases with a toss of her auburn hair. Just that Viviana Vega is coming to town and I'm getting front row tickets to her concert. Maddie screams. No way, I whisper to myself. I look over at Amanda, whose eyes are wide and with envy or disbelief. Probably both. Only Arthur seems unimpressed. He shakes his head and opens a music magazine. The only singers he cares about are singers no one else has ever heard of, and everyone has heard of Viviana Vega. The bell rings, and Mrs. Barlow settles the classroom down to call roll. All right, that's enough, everyone. Julia, I'm not sure Viviana Vega qualifies as urgent. Put the phone away, please. Find your seats. Let's get started. When Mrs. Barlow had passed out our journals on the first day of school, I had expected the usual, how I spent my summer vacation kind of assignment. Wrong. The writing prompts she puts on the board are always surprising and sometimes strange. Why me? She once wrote with no further explanation. If you had to spend a week living inside any book, which would you choose and why? And another one reads, write a thank you note to an uncle who sent you a can of chicken soup for your birthday. Compared with that one, today's question seems almost normal. Imagine you can time travel, but your parents don't believe you. How would you convince them? I can't convince my parents of anything. I feel like I have plenty to say about today's question, but every time I bring my pen down to write something, the words vanish. Instead, I sit scribbling robots and rocket ships in the margins of my journal until Ms. Barlow comes down the aisle in her white canvas sneakers, taps me on the shoulder, and whispers, just start somewhere, Stef. Anywhere. Sometimes starting is the hardest part. It's easier after that. I nod and begin. I can't convince my parents of anything. Chapter 6. After language arts, I have math, and after that, a 10-minute break before science, where Mrs. Saros divides us into pairs for an experiment with baby diapers. We're going to continue talking about polymers, which you'll remember are long strings of molecules that can have some very interesting properties. She explains, walking up and down the aisles and around the desks. Some bounce, some stretch, some are tough and rigid. Today, you'll work with a super absorbent polymer. See if you can figure out why it's called super absorbent. We cut our diapers open, revealing a grainy white powder that we collect in Ziploc bags. When we drop the water onto the powder, the granules swell into big blobs. Talk to your partners, Mrs. Saros says. Besides, in a diaper, where else might a super absorbent polymer be helpful? How might you use it in a garden, for example? My partner, Jake, pokes at the glob of diaper gel on our table. Sick, he says. I don't know if he means gross or cool. It's kind of both. The subject of Viviana Vega doesn't come up for the rest of the morning, but by lunchtime, the whole school knows about her concert, and tickets are all anyone's talking about. So, Amanda says, smacking her lunch tray down on the table where Arthur and I are already sitting, according to Julia, the cheap seats, she puts air quotes around cheap, are $40 each. I have $10 left over for my birthday. Where are we going to get the rest? You could try selling a kidney, Arthur mutters dryly, taking his veggie burger patty out of its bun. You have two. Amanda sticks her tongue out at him, then turns back to me. I'm serious, Stef. We have to be there. I don't want to hear all about it from Julia Sandoval. We're figuring this out, like today. Just like that, she stands up again, jamming a granola bar in her pocket before I can say anything. If Amanda were a polymer, she'd definitely be the kind that bounces. She's right, though. It's a lot of money. But paying for tickets isn't our only problem. Maybe not even our biggest problem. There's no way Mommy and Papi are going to let me go to that concert without them, and there's no way I'm letting them come along with me. We go from lunch to PE, which seems cruel. All I want to do is nap, but at least it's kickball today. After PE is social studies, and finally, because it's Tuesday, art. Most people, if you ask them what their favorite day of the week is, they wouldn't say Tuesday. It's still early in the week, and Friday is a long way off. There's nothing special about Tuesday. Except for me, there's art class. And in art class, I never hear Mommy's voice telling me I'm too young or Pappy nagging me to be careful. I am in charge of the blank piece of paper in front of me, and I can turn it into something as vivid and adventurous or as quiet and calm as I want. There aren't any restrictions. Except Mr. Salazar's, of course, but that's different. Pinned to the walls of Mr. Salazar's studio are a decade's worth of sketches and paintings, some yellowing, their corners creased. Smears and spatters of paints and pastels stain the tabletops, and dried up clay is grounded into the tiled floor. But our paintbrushes are always clean, organized by shape and size, and old soup cans. We sit on tall stools at broad tables instead of desks and chairs. We could talk as much as we want, as long as we get our work done. We hang our backpacks off a row of hooks just inside the door to keep them clean and out of the way. Then we pick out our smocks from a bin near Mr. Salazar's desk. The smocks are actually old button-down shirts with ink stains on the pockets or holes in the elbows, donated by parents or by Mr. Salazar himself. I pick out one with pink and green pinstripes and put it on backside front. Grab a brush and fill up a cup of water on your way to your seats, he tells us. Then he asks me to pass out watercolor trays. I come up short and he frowns. Maddie, will you share with Julia? The girl nods. And Stef, do you mind sharing with Amanda for today? Once we've all settled on our stools, Mr. Salazar takes a basket full of white crayons and sends it around the classroom. We each take a crayon and pass the basket along as he tapes a piece of watercolor paper on the whiteboard and begins the day's lesson. Who can tell me what resist means? He asks, his back to us while his hand darts over the page. Whatever he's drawing is invisible from where I sit. White wax on white paper. To fight back, Arthur calls out, pumping his fists in the air. Mr. Salazar nods, without looking away from his work. Anyone else? To push away, I venture? Mr. Salazar turns around and points a finger, first at Arthur, then at me. Right and right. Very good, both of you. Today we're going to be practicing a technique called wax resist. He swizzles his paintbrush in a plastic cup of water, then dabs it on a cake of paint. And here's why. He brushes a wash of violet over the paper, then switches to blue and then to green. The colors bloom on the page. They spill into one another in liquid bursts, except for where Mr. Salazar had sketched with his crayon. The mystery drawing turns out to be a spider web, its strands gleaming white through all that color. Is the wax holding back the free-flowing paint, keeping it from going where it wants to go? No, I decide. It's something else. The wax is shining through, bold and bright, and refusing to be painted over. Julia seems to have read my mind. It's wax resist because the wax is resisting the paint. Exactly, Mr. Salazar claps. He tells us to spend a few minutes planning before practicing the technique ourselves. But I already know what I want to paint. Parking lights glowing against the dark purple sky over the commissary at night. Chapter 7. As usual, Tia Perla is waiting for me when school is dismissed. But this time, Pappy has her parked just across the street. Progress. I wave to show him how much I appreciate it. Instead of waving back, Pappy points his finger up and down the street and then points at his eyes, which I take as some signal to look both ways. So much for progress. Amanda follows me out, talking so fast about Viviana Vega tickets that it's hard to keep up. I'm surprised when she starts crossing the street with me. Hold up. I clamp my hand on her shoulder so she'll stop and take a breath. Don't you have practice? We have to run an extra lap for every minute we're late. She checks her watch and shrugs. Worth it. Poppy is standing next to the truck holding sodas when we get back to the other side. Amanda shakes her head. No thanks. Practice. Then she launches right back into concert talk. Okay, so I know Mom and Dad aren't going to just give me money for Viviana tickets, but maybe like an advance on my allowance? Or, I don't know, a yard sale? I could get rid of all those stupid stuffed animals. And your drawings, you could sell some of those, Stef. That's at least a few bucks. Yeah, I say weakly, wishing she wasn't doing this right in front of Poppy. I need some time to prepare my case, even if it is hopeless. I feel Poppy staring at me. If I can't keep up with Amanda, he must be completely lost. What's all this about? He asks in Spanish. Who is Viviana Vega? Amanda answers for me. Mr. Soto, everyone knows Viviana Vega. I imagine Viviana Vega is like Taylor Swift or somebody like that, someone famous. Es una cantante, I say quietly. Not just a singer, pretty much the best singer ever. Amanda continues, and there's a concert coming up, and Stef and I have to be there. Poppy nods but doesn't say anything. He just gets back into the truck. Over the next few days, Amanda tries everything she could think of to raise the ticket money. I go along with her, thinking wishfully. Poppy hasn't said no. At lunchtime, she goes without milk every day for a week. She even talks Arthur into giving up his orange juice. But when we count the change, it adds up to less than $4. Amanda teaches me to make her handmade headbands, and we sell a couple to girls on her soccer team, but have to stop when we run out of old t-shirts. Amanda offers to babysit her little brother for $5 an hour, but since she already has to do that for free, her parents just laugh. By the time the tickets go on sale, we're not even close. There's really no way we could just forget about the concert, but it would be a lot easier if Julia wasn't reminding us all the time, wondering too loudly, considering we're in the library, what she should wear and whether she should give Viviana flowers or a teddy bear when she goes backstage. Because, of course, she gets to go backstage. With the concert sold out, Amanda and I try to decide what to do with the money. You have enough to download her new album at least, Arthur whispers. I mean, if you don't mind listening to pop trash. Hey, Amanda, I say slyly. Hey, what? I think he wants us to download the album for him. Amanda considers for a moment. No, she says seriously. Give Arthur some credit. I think he already has it. And already knows all the songs by heart? Yeah. And sings them in the shower. We're trying so hard to hold back our giggles that they come out as tears. Arthur blushes, groans, and puts on his earphones, but not before the librarian catches him and gives him a stern look. Sheepishly, he slides them into his backpack. I sock him lightly on the shoulder. Don't be such a music snob. He socks me back. And that is the end of chapter 7. Chapter 8. It's been so long since I've slept in on a Saturday morning that I don't really need to set an alarm clock anymore. Most days, my eyes just open at 5 o'clock. I stretch, change out of my pajamas, twist my hair into a lazy bun, and find Mommy and Poppy already in the kitchen. She has the newspaper open. He's pouring coffee into a thermos. Lots of parents spend Saturdays at ballparks and festivals and flea markets. Poppy does too. Only he's there to sell tacos and burritos, tortas and tostadas. Saturday is his busy day, and it takes all three of us to make sure he's prepared. The farmer's market is our first stop, and we leave as soon as I gulp down a bowl of cereal. Poppy pulls a notebook from his shirt pocket and leafs through it to find this week's grocery list while Mommy walks over to a food stand. She comes back with 3 steaming cups of hot chocolate and hands me one. The first sip burns my tongue, but it's worth it. So what do we need? I ask, feeling warmer and finally awake. We gather onions, garlic, lettuce, tomatoes, and beans. We have everything else we need back at the commissary. When we get there, I head straight for one of those enormous refrigerators in the prep kitchen, my reflection fuzzy and warped on its stainless steel door. I find the drawer assigned to Poppy, pull out a bunch of cilantro, take it to a counter, and start chopping. Meanwhile, Poppy, wearing disposable gloves, ladles salsa into teensy plastic containers. Tiny plastic containers. We leave the onions to Mommy. They never make her cry. No one else in the kitchen. No one else is in the kitchen yet. The only sounds I hear are the soft thuds of knives on cutting boards until, after a while, Mommy starts to hum. Estefania, Poppy says, finally clearing his throat. If you don't have any other plans, I'd like for you to come and help me today. I don't have any plans, but if I did, they would involve Tia Perla. Well, I mean, there's homework and Orale, he insists. I could really use your help, mija. We'll start at the park. Maybe you'll see Amanda play. I guess I don't have a choice. Fine. Finished in the kitchen, we pack up Tia Perla and drop Mommy off at home. It's still morning when Poppy and I get to the park, but already the sun is beginning to bake the grass fields. Good thing we restocked the soda, I say. Orale, he answers. I take orders while he cooks on the flat-top grill. First, eggs and sausage for breakfast burritos, and a few hours later, chicken and steak. He wipes sweat off his forehead with his sleeve and whistles along to the radio on the counter. 2 super burritos, no beans, and 1 chicken taco. Extra jalapenos, I call back to him. $11.50, please, I tell the lady standing at the order window. Any lime or salsa? She fans herself with a baseball cap while waiting for her order. Between customers, I watch Amanda's game at the far end of the park. From here, the players are just blurs of orange and green, but I recognize Amanda's 2 brown braids flying out behind her. I figure she's spotted Tia Perla, too. Who can miss her? And that later she'll jog over for a post-game bottle of cherry soda. I bury one way down at the bottom of the ice chest so it'll be slushy cold when she gets here. Amanda started coming to St. Scholastica in 5th grade, but since we weren't in the same class, I didn't really meet her until 6th grade, when my parents signed me up for soccer. Amanda and I ended up on the same team. I had hardly even kicked a ball before, but Amanda had been playing soccer almost since she learned to walk. She was fast and her passes always landed exactly where she wanted. Scrimmaging at practice one afternoon, Amanda broke away at the half line with no one but me between her and the goal box. As she dribbled past, I turned flustered to our coach. "Catch her!" he yelled. I took off, running as hard as I could, coach yelling, "Go, go!" behind me. I closed some of the gap between us, but I could tell I wasn't going to get out in front of Amanda. She was just too fast. We ran a few strides side by side, and then, just as she was about to speed off again, I kicked blindly, hoping to find the ball and send it out of bounds. Instead, I found Amanda's cleat, knocking her legs out from under her. She landed with a smack and a howl and had to sit out the rest of the season. I figured she would stop showing up for games and practices after that, but she was there for everyone, glaring at me from the sideline, her broken arm resting on her lap. I tried to avoid her, but one morning, as I was shuffling off the field at halftime, she said, "Hey." I looked over to where she was sitting, still suited up in our team uniform, complete with shin guards, even though she wasn't going to play. I was surprised and a little scared. "You're kicking the ball with your toe," she said, picking the grass instead of looking at me. "So?" She looked up. "So you're supposed to kick it with your shoelaces." "My shoelaces?" Amanda stood, found a practice ball, and demonstrated. "When you kick with your shoelaces, it's easier to make the ball go where you want." She kicked, sending the ball straight to my feet. Wow, thanks. Amanda shrugged. It's cool you got a blue cast, I blurted out. I had noticed it right away, of course, but had been too afraid to say anything until then. Was it to match our uniforms? If you want, I could draw a soccer ball on it after the game. She smiled. Okay. And I'm sorry I knocked you over. I know. I didn't play soccer anymore after that season, and our Saturdays were just too busy with Tia Perla. But Amanda and I stayed friends. Now, as the referee blows his whistle long and loud at the end of the game, I see the teams huddle up and cheer, then line up to shake one another's hands. I'm going to take a break. Okay, Poppy? Stay close, mija, he says, still pushing bite-sized chunks of chicken around the grill. I grab the radio and Amanda's soda and wait for her outside the truck. Her parents say she can hang out with us until her little brother's game is over and it's time for them to go home. We sit cross-legged in the grass, Amanda sucking the juice out of an orange wedge as I twist the radio dial, listening for a break in the static. I finally find a clear station playing, naturally, Viviana Vega. I sigh, pick up a twig, and start tracing little pictures in the dirt while Amanda chatters about her assists and the fouls and the referee. Should have called it, but didn't. Then I hear something that makes me sit up straight and hold my hand out to shush her. What? I shake my head and point to the radio. Listen. Oh, I know. Viviana Vega, right? I'm starting to think Arthur's right. I'm so over it. I just want her stupid concert to be done with already so we could just talk about something else for a change. No, listen, I snap. Amanda stops talking as the DJ announces he's about to give away 2 tickets to the sold-out Viviana Vega show. Be the 50th caller and the tickets are yours. A phone, Amanda barks. I jump to my feet, scramble into Tia Perla's cab, and yank Poppy's cell phone from the glove compartment. I should probably ask first, but there isn't time. I dial the radio station, my fingers shaking, then press the speaker button. We listen. Beep, beep, beep. Busy, I sigh, hanging up. So try again, Amanda orders. This time it rings and rings, and I don't believe what I finally hear on the other end. Congratulations, caller 50. No way. Hello, caller? Anyone there? I don't know what to say. Oh my God. I mouth soundlessly as Amanda snatches the phone to talk to the DJ. My mind is racing as I hear Amanda say, is this for real? 13? Oh, my mom can do it. Thank you. She taps the button to end the call. That's it, she says. We're not 18, so my mom has to go pick up the tickets at the box office. Can you believe this? We're gonna go see Viviana Vega. I pull her up from the ground by both arms. We're gonna see Viviana Vega. We scream so loudly that Poppy comes running out of Tia Perla, a spatula raised in his right hand. What's going on? He asks, looking frantic and eyeing his cell phone where we tossed it on the ground. ¿Qué pasó? What happened? What's wrong? Estefania, is everything all right? I stop jumping and frown. Why does he always have to worry so much? I let go of Amanda's hands. Nothing's wrong, I huff. We're just happy. I pause and take a breath. I'm going to have to be careful about how I explain this. You know that concert, the one next weekend? Amanda just won a ticket. She gets to go. Poppy squeezes his eyes shut and sighs. Que bueno, Amanda, he says, relaxing his shoulders. Yeah, but what's really great is that we have 2 tickets. Amanda bursts before I could stop her. Stef can come too, right? You have to let her. I look at the ground and erase my little dirt drawings with the toe of my sneaker. I wish I had had a chance to talk to my parents, to convince them that everything would be fine before Amanda had said anything. But maybe, just this once, they'll understand what a big deal it is. Maybe they'll trust me enough to let me go. I look up at Poppy. He's already looking at me, confused and maybe a little sad. I seem to be getting that look a lot lately. I see, Poppy says slowly. We'll have to talk about that. For now, mija, it's time for us to go. Good game, Amanda. Come on back to the truck and take some tacos for your parents. Poppy walks back to Tia Perla, and Amanda whispers, they're going to let you go, right? I mean, Stef, this is like once in a lifetime. After Poppy hands Amanda a brown paper bag stuffed with tacos and salsa and tortilla chips, he and I leave the park and drive to the flea market. His lips are pressed together in a tight, straight line. Once, at a stoplight, I look up at him. I want to tell him I'm smart enough, mature enough. But the words feel like paste in my mouth, and I swallow them all back down as the light turns green. And that's the end of chapter 8. So we'll stop there for today, but stay tuned. I can't wait to hear what happens with the Viviana Vega concert. Do you think she's going to be able to go or not? Would love to hear your predictions. Have a good day.